decision is the story of Ramon, who has to come to terms with his past in order to solve his immigration status. So it's the citizenship question, like the marriage by that. And I've seen films like The Proposal with Sandra Bullock. We wanted it to be a drama. We wanted, but a hopeful drama that there's a solution in the horizon, and but also to like bring it back to reality, because like, you know, we all can giggle to like the stories and like the issue, right, with that comedy, but I didn't want to also turn it into fear porn. That a lot of the immigration movies are like, oh, they get deported and killed at the end or something like that. Have you seen Sin Nombre, A Better Life, type of stuff that you're crying at the end of that? And I'm just like, no, there's hope in this as well. So that's where this issue wanted to be like a statement of like, here is the stuff about immigration nowadays, but also here's a hopeful tone that there can be a solution. There can be, we can work together as community to solve the issues.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Film Goals podcast. Today I'm with the one and only Guillermo. How do you say your last name?
Barahona. Barahona in English, Barahona in Spanish.
Barahona. Okay. So, Guillermo, you're a filmmaker. You do a bunch of different. You're a director, writer,
producer. Mostly producer. That's the background.
Producing? Okay, cool. So let's start with like how you got into filmmaking. What made you want to jump into the field?
Oof. It's always comes back to when I was a kid. That I come from at least a family that like to tell stories, and like the neighbors always told their stories when they were kids, and I guess that stuck around with me because I love telling stories. And it wasn't until I got into production back in 2015 that it started dawning onto me that this is a different way of telling stories, like for sure. And through that experiences in like different shows, like podcast stage shows here in Vegas, I eventually got the desire to make my own stuff. And that's when in 2021 is when I officially took that leap with my friend Rose Donahue, which is the co-director, co-producer, co-writer of like the first two movies that we worked together.
Oh, okay. And did you so I'm guessing you didn't go to film school or anything like that?
Well, no, not for school. I did take 2 film classes at the UNLV Film Department when I was finishing up my history degree. Okay. So that's how I got to meet some of the professors, and I get some really invaluable lessons from them to really shape up that side of the production.
So you got a degree in history?
I did.
So talk about that. Where'd you go, and what is that field?
Well, I mean, history is one of my favorite subjects, my second best subject in school. And I got a degree in that because at one point I was halfway through an engineering degree. Things were happening at the time, and I was like, you know what? Let me just finish school with my next best subject. I had some credits already, and I finished with that one. And it's a good subject for me because it's like it requires a lot of research, and that's important also when it comes to production, paperwork, and stuff, because those skills are transferable into being able to do the research, be meticulous in what you want to do, which can translate into being attention to detail on the film shoots, in production, if it's a live show, that kind of stuff. So
once you got your degree, did you go into that field, to the history field? Like, what kind of jobs can you get doing history?
Well, you can be a professor, you can be a researcher, and because those are skills that are transferable. But I was already working at the show at that point in downtown, so I graduated, and I was like, well, I'm already in production, so let's just fully delve into that now that I have a degree.
So talk about that show, and what did you do?
And so I first started in production in 2015 with a show called Lovers or Losers, which was a couples game show at the Downtown Plaza Hotel and Casino. So we had Todd Bridges from Different Strokes as our main host for the first few years. And then we did local hosts, like Akil Evans, Lion Flood. So with that show, I started off at the bottom. So I was a PA, a production assistant. And we were doing street interviews right outside Pawn Stars in different locations to get material for the games. And, of course, contestants to come down to the show.
So this was like a live show?
We did.
Okay, you recorded the interviews, and then everything was live?
Yeah, so we recorded those interviews to put them into games later on, because it was, imagine Price is Right meets Family Feud meets like the Newlywed Game. Okay. So it was a game show that we got folks to like talk about the relationship, answer questions, do fun challenges like that. So that's how I sort of learned the tools, the basics on that when it comes to recorded production, and then live production, which was that nightly performance, because we recorded the episodes
Every night.
every single night. We did 5 nights a week.
And this was like tourists would go watch a show, or was this on TV somewhere?
We wanted to get it on TV, but the details of that got muggy over the time, and we didn't succeed, unfortunately, because the concept was pretty fun. Like, who wouldn't want to have like a game show about couples in Vegas, and you put a microphone in front of people, and they say the darndest things, which is hilarious.
And you guys give them drinks?
Even without drinks, they got to say darndest things, and I was like, "Wow! Imagine if we put 2 drinks in you."
Yeah, they just let them keep going. That's cool. So that's kind of where you began the production field, I guess. Right?
Yes, learn about gear, learn about the back, like, bringing good crews together, and experts when you need like an expert, because you're not gonna hire a PA to do sound design, lighting design, and we get trained people or hired people that were professionals that were really, really good at their craft, and that's what made our team special, because we faced a lot of challenges, but through those challenges, we brought a product that we thought, okay, this has some potential.
That's cool. Yeah. So how did you say you came from a place of storytelling? How did you get into writing, and what would you think? What would you say is your style of writing?
Oof. Well, I mean, so grew up in El Salvador, Central America. So that's when my first 12 years of my life. Then I came to the U.S.
Okay.
So
Did you come straight to Vegas, or did you
No, I started in Inglewood, California.
Okay.
So that was home for the first 2 years. So that was the learning about the new culture, and of course learning the language as fast as possible. So I guess as I was really trying to learn it, I wanted to write a little bit, and my teacher, Mrs. Brown, she wanted me to like get exposed to the language, so she got me to Chronicles of Narnia, that Lord of the Rings, reading like that, and then I felt kind of like wanting to do stuff like that. So that's how some of the little short stories I wrote during my middle school, high school years was the way how I started doing like writing in that direction. And then once I wanted to get into production and stuff like that, that's when like all of that came together, because I had done a couple short screenplays, testing it out how it worked, and of course the first 2 books that I have, which are self-published.
Oh, you wrote 2 books?
Mm-hmm.
And what are they about?
So Death Gamble, which was the first novel, I wrote it back 2013, but published it. It's gonna be 10 years this year.
Fiction?
It's fiction. Yeah, it was like a love letter to Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like investigator finds dead guy in LA, finds a clue that brings him to Vegas, finds a mafia conspiracy, and then all hell breaks loose type of stuff. So like a thriller type mystery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's the first book.
Oh shit, what's it called?
Death Gamble.
Okay. And how long did it take you to write that?
Oh, that was a month, because it was for
month?
Yeah, because National Novel Writing Month is like a challenge that happens every year by an organization with the same name that challenges people to write their stories, share their stories for just take a month, write your story down, 50,000 words or more, and you're well on your way to having a draft that you can either find for publishers or do the self-publishing routes.
Damn, how many pages is that novel?
Oh, it's like 140 pages. Like it's like a
short
2-hour read. It's a short novel. Yeah, it's a 2-hour read.
Oh damn! Yeah, I was gonna say a month is really fast.
Oh yeah, no, it was crazy. So
that's cool. What's your second book?
The second book is a memoir. So that one is it's called Terremoto, on surviving the disaster of 2001. So that one, I wanted to tell a nonfiction to sort of balance it out. And I wanted to tell a chapter of my life, which was the last year I was in El Salvador, which was 2001, when natural disasters hit us, and we were already having issues, post Civil War, gang violence rising, post Hurricane Mitch. So like the earthquake was just like that one last event that really shook up the world, shook up life, and that's sort of like what eventually led us to leaving the country.
Oh wow!
That one is an even shorter read, like 80 pages.
Okay,
so.
Damn, and it's a memoir. It's so short.
I call it a memoir. But probably it's not.
Usually those are long.
Yeah,
but
like
you don't go into the past. Do you go into like the past of your childhood, or do you just start on 2001?
Just stick more to like that particular year and give a little bit of what was life like before that, and how life changed after the earthquake.
Okay.
But it all stuck within that 3 to 4 year period. So.
Have you been back to El Salvador?
No, I have not been back to El Salvador.
Have you been seeing what's going on over there? Like they cleaned up the whole country.
I've seen it.
What do you think about it?
Well, I mean, I'm glad it's safer. I have my opinions not so good of the new leader. Just the methods and the continuation of like such policies, even if it's supposed to be in such a peacetime, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But yes, I know that it's safer now. So
what don't you agree with?
Difference in political opinion.
Like what? You don't want to talk about it? Because I'm curious because I've seen like those little documentary YouTube videos where people from America, I was like, holy shit. Like these people, he just cleaned house pretty much for all like the gangbangers and all the
Right.
gangs over there. And now you see like it's this giant prison where all these people that, you know, they were terrorizing the public. And now you have tourism. So what do you think is, so what is the negative of that, or like
So
the opposite view of
we
that?
always had tourism, by the way. Surf has always been a big
But it
thing
was
for us.
dangerous.
It's always dangerous if you go outside of the tourism corridors, because like the airport for the most part has been the one place, and then you drive yourself to the capital city. So that has always been either a corridor of like improvements, renovation that all of the parties post Civil War try to do, you know, and the violence was always there. So it's more always in the localized part that, you know, your neighbors, your families were the ones that always were suffering. So like, yeah, it's cleaned up, but there's still crime. It's not like crime is completely obliterated.
Right.
And it's not like they're gone, like the gangs and stuff, because why would you continue policies like that if you're already calling, you know, that you won, right? So it's a matter of perspective and thinking on that one.
Okay.
And that's why, like, continuation of those policies, and like, yeah, sure,
you think there should be an end at some point? And what are policies are you talking about?
No, I'm talking like what they call in régimen de excepción, which is the sort of the policy that you're arresting people under the suspicion that maybe they are criminals, maybe they're related to the gangs.
So there doesn't have to be proof.
Well, they just throw people. They're just
throwing people in jail, even like people that innocent people. Right.
And sure, they have put a lot of criminals in jail. Don't get me wrong about that, but still, like there's still the innocent people. There's still the people that are caught in like the drama of the moment. So.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, dude, I got caught in like the rabbit hole of like the Salvador. Prison stuff. So interesting.
It's wild because it's you know what, yeah, sure, they're boasting about the largest prison in like the whole continent, the Western Hemisphere maybe even, but I'm just like, okay, so one day these people are either gonna have to get out of prison, and then what are you gonna do with them? Are you gonna rehabilitate them, or what are you gonna be doing? Because just throwing people in one place, forget about them, probably is not the best long-term solution. It could sound like a good short-term solution. What's the long-term? What's the long game that you're planning, trying to play with it? So
interesting, bro. Yeah. All right. So speaking of El Salvador, let's talk about your first short film that I saw. With Moe. So talk about the inspiration for that, and then what it's about.
Yeah. So switching back to like establishing a life in the U.S., right? Establishing a life in the U.S. It was especially when I moved to Vegas. It was like that even bigger culture shock of. People don't know how to say your name, right? So the first half of Moe is the fiction part of our character here, Moe, that he doesn't like his name, and he's having that identity issue, right? Of where do I belong type of stuff. So, and when I presented this to Rose, when we started revising and getting ready to produce this back in summer of 21, we looked at all the aspects that could cover into who is Moe in this case. And we addressed all of that in the short, as you saw, that we wanted to have a conclusion, and we wanted to address the issues, because we wanted to have that comedy scene, like everybody goes to the bar, and oftentimes they just get trashed, right? They're having a good time, they party, whatever, but they still got to confront the issues, like the other guys, for example. Yeah. And here in Moe, we throw a wrench into the mix that Mo's boss, Jackie, is right behind them, also having a drink, but it's like, we got to confront this. We got to take care of this. So that first half of Moe is like that, figuring out your identity, but like embracing your true self, and like your friends are here. Like, build that trust within each other, which is the message for that one. Okay. And
then Moe, that's short for Guillermo, right?
Yes, the character's name is Guillermo with an E at the end.
Okay.
Because I've seen it sometimes, like when I sign up for newsletters and whatnot, because my middle name is Enrique, as you see in the slate back here.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes they just mush.
They just put it together.
Yeah, and it sounds like, I was like, you know what, this is going to be funny. Let me write it down like that. So that script went through like 3 revisions in between 2016 to 2021 before Rose and I sat down with it, to really craft it, make it to what it is, the final product of the movie. And we addressed every single loophole except the one part where I mentioned the parents in the montage. So then Rose pitches to me like, hey, how about we address the loophole by interviewing your real deal parents. And that's where the documentary component of the film comes in which both of them tell their experiences, how life was in El Salvador during the years of our Civil War. And then, of course, the disasters that lead us to us eventually leaving the country and establishing a life here in the U.S.
Yeah, that was interesting because it was like, so half of the film is the narrative, and then it cuts to the documentary, I would say.
Yes, that is correct.
And how long is the film?
It's 13 minutes, 28 seconds.
Yeah,
So
it was so it was interesting. I was not expecting that because all you just cut and then you go to like, yeah, you have footage of the war or something. Right?
yes, we
Yeah.
managed to use one of those. Oh my gosh, cannot even remember the name of it. The license is that you can use material for educational purposes, but you can't monetize off of them. So that's
Right.
the documentary that we connected with, and that because we were in a time, not really time crunch, but we wanted to submit a full film, picture lock film to the festivals. That we wanted to have something complete for them. That's how Moe, you see, has that archival footage.
So how did you submit to festivals if it's half and half? What would you submit it under?
We
Because it's half narrative, half a documentary.
we submit so depending on the festival, obviously, right? Because when we debuted it in Phoenix 2 years ago, we fell in the Latinx shorts program because we
Okay.
applied for that one.
Okay.
So it didn't matter in the genre. It was
Latino.
that it was made within Latino community, Latino filmmakers or members of it were like that. So that's how we got into Phoenix. And then other festivals we have classified it as a short. We still put it as fiction since it's how the movie starts.
Yeah.
Oh, and of course, in the description, the festival programmers can say, "Oh, it's mostly documentary. Maybe we can put it in this real deal lifestyle story." So
You just kind of leave it up to them to figure it out.
yes, unless they're like specific
Yeah,
about
like,
like
yeah.
where does it have to fall.
No,
So
for sure.
mhm.
Cool, man. And then how was it interviewing your parents?
You know, that's the funniest part because they had never wanted to be in front of a camera before. They never wanted to do anything like that. And so I told Rose, I was like, look, we're going to give it our best shot. But if they say no, we just got to be ready for that. But when I pitched it to them, they were just, let's do it. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? So
That's cool. You interviewed them in Spanish. You got the subtitles, so
Uh-huh.
it was cool to see. And you kind of, what were some of the questions you asked them, just for the audience?
Oh, we asked them about, what was it like establishing life in the U.S.? What was your favorite part about it? What were the challenges? What was life like when you were growing up and like when the war happened or the earthquakes happened? So we asked them those questions to balance it out. And we had a couple more fun ones that are more for like, behind the scenes footage, but like keepsakes for the family. Because even though we have like 9 minutes of that in the official movie, we got like 40 minutes of like questions and some
questions and
retakes if we
answers.
wanted to have something more polished. But like that beginning of the interview is the beginning of the interview. We felt it was more like genuine, leaving their genuine reactions. They were just being slapped for the first time on with a camera and a slate. So
Did they see the film?
they have seen it. No,
Yeah.
they have been with us like, to at least a few of the
Yeah.
festival showings. So I love how like the audience asks about it, and I'm like, they're right over there, and then it's all right after that.
What did they say? What was their feedback or?
The parents or the
Your
audience?
parents.
Oh, why? They, of course, they're still camera shy a little bit. My dad is just like embracing it, like, yeah, I'll take interviews, just no autographs type of stuff. So they're good. They're a good
Okay.
bunch. I'm so glad, and I'm thankful for them because we're here, we're living the life, obviously, and we're taking the journey one step at a time. So.
And I think a lot of people can relate to that because we all come from like immigrant parents. And everyone has that same, even though it's a different country, they all had the same struggle of coming to a new country.
Yes.
So I could, like, when I was watching, I was like, that's like, it's the same story pretty much.
Absolutely, and the privilege in my case that I got to put him in front of a camera so they could tell their story.
So speaking of immigrants, your second film that I saw was Decision, and Angel Mendoza was the starting for that. So tell me a little bit about that film and the inspiration for that and what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely. So rewinding back to 2022, Rosa and we were already like on the film tour for Moe, and people kept asking us, which is something to be prepared on when you go to a film festival. What's next?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, sure, we had a whole bunch of ideas in the bank already, different shorts, a couple features, and when we got around to having the homecoming here in Vegas for the Nevada Women's Film Festival, it hit me to share a different kind of story. And there's the truth to the right to what you know, And I thought, okay, you know what? Let's put it in the immigrant perspective. Getting a little bit personal and vulnerable with the audience. I came to the U.S. legally, but mess ups happen, and under Daca. So to me, that work permit is how I've been able to build the career, the life that I have, and figuring out the solution forward, right? And politics here are always so complicated, of course, in the U.S. And I work in that field as my day job, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, you know what? Let's tell a different story in a different perspective. And we wanted it to put the person in distress that needs to find a way how to get their citizenship problems resolved, right? That's where decision comes around. A story that we have our protagonist, which is Angel, get vulnerable with his lawyer, which is Rose's character, Christopher Brown, which is the best friend for Angel's character, Ramon. And again, with that theme of I'm trying to find my way, finding myself here in this place that it's foreign to me, but your friends, your guidance is working together how we can find a solution to this. And that's where Decision is the story of Ramon, who has to come to terms with his past in order to solve his immigration status. So it's the citizenship question, like the marriage by that. And I've seen films like The Proposal with Sandra Bullock.
But this ain't a comedy. Right?
No.
Straight up
Decision
drama.
wanted to be exactly. We wanted it to be a drama. We wanted, but a hopeful drama that
Right.
there is a solution in the horizon, and but also to bring it back to reality, because we all can giggle to the stories and the issue, right? With that comedy, but I didn't want to also turn it into fear porn. That a lot of the immigration movies are they get deported and killed at the end or something like that. Have you seen Sin Nombre, A Better Life, type of stuff that you're crying at the end of that? And I'm just no, there's hope in this as well. So that's where Decision wanted to be a statement of here is the stuff about immigration nowadays, but also here's a hopeful tone that there can be a solution. There can be we can work together as community to solve the issues.
Yeah, I love that. And you wrote it and directed it?
Co-wrote or co-directed. Again, the collaboration with Rose Donahue, who brought some really good points on the script and flipping the order of the characters, and it's just so good. And when we had it officially as Ramon instead of Rebecca, because originally it was written in the perspective of Rebecca, solving her immigration status. But then on revision of the script, which we did a few of that, and the dialogue as well, we were Rose was no, let's make it Ramon instead. And we presented Ramon that still has his flaws, and that's where it worked better, because then when I saw Angel, that I've seen him work already before, I was this is our guy.
No, he did really good. Yeah, I felt it. So you said you collabed your last two shorts with Rose?
The first two, yes.
How did that collaboration start, and how do you guys work together?
Yeah, so rewinding back to 2016, the second year that I was with Lovers or Losers, we managed to bring in Akil Evans, great actor, great motivational speaker. You should check him out. He talked to us about the show that they worked on Thursdays called the Downtown Podcast, which became eventually rebranded Vegas Talk, which was a community show podcast type of stuff that was part of the Downtown Project in Vegas in those years. So we interviewed local people that were doing stuff for the community, like community gardens, and we also injected comedy. So imagine TED Talks meets Jimmy Kimmel. And we did local talent and everything. So it was a great way to network, and that's how I met Rose in that show.
Oh, okay.
We became friends, and the rest of the story is history type of stuff, because we worked in different projects over the years. And then when I approached her in summer of 21, after a premiere with Lindsay Cruz, I was like, hey, here's this script that I've been trying to do two times already. Could we maybe do it this time? Because we're coming out of the high pandemic, still in the pandemic, and I'm just oh man, if we don't work to do our stuff, we're just life
never gonna get done.
No, or we're gonna die because of the pandemic. So those were the pressures that were you know what, let's give it a shot to Mo once again. And that's how the filmmaking journey in itself started. That here we are with the resources that we had, the experience that we now had from years of different gigs and shows and stuff like that. And you see how Mo came together, and that's how it began.
Cool. And what do you enjoy doing more? Writing, directing? What is your passion? What would you want to do?
I mean, all all of it. But I have the safe space, I guess, is always in the as a producer, because you get a chance to help on the planning stages, making sure that folks have a plan, that if we're casting, we know what we're casting to, and what's your plan, right? Because everybody wants to say, oh, yeah, I have an idea for a short film, a feature, whatever. Okay, what are your steps in order for you to take it? And that's why that's one of my strengths, I guess, in making sure that if we're doing this, I'm happy to work with you and doing things. But what are your steps? Let's take those steps forward. Let's get you going in the habits of getting ready to do something, because I know you can tell your story. And now that our freaking phones can film movies, we're in a beautiful time and space that I want folks to tell their stories.
Yeah. That's cool, man. So producing.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, that's awesome, bro. So let's talk real quick about your last two shorts. I know what you're working on now. You're in post-production for a short.
Yes.
Talk about what that's about. And
So Ocean Blue is the first attempt at driving away from just immigration stories. Because
are you partnering? Sorry, real quick. Are you partnering with your friend again, or
no? And this one is separate. Rose was more consultant this time around in a few pieces, which it's been a busy time for all of us. So.
Ocean what?
Ocean Blue.
Ocean
Blue is it's a symbolic story. Like even like it's a romantic drama. I'm trying my first foray into that genre, and I wanted to tell a different story. So our character here, Miranda, which is female lead, my friend Christy, is here. Our character telling us via flashbacks how Miranda here found her relationship fulfillment with one of the alternative relationship styles, which is polyamory. Because I wanted it to show something else. Because, like, you know, we see a million times the love triangles and, like, the person has to choose between the two of them. And I'm just like, well, it gets old, right? At least to me.
How many people are in this polyamorous relationship?
Well, in the movie Ocean Blue, like 3 people.
Okay.
So, like, her and 2 partners.
Okay.
And I wanted to show a more diverse type of romance, and that our characters, you know, bring back Lindsay Cruz, which she was our bartender in Moe.
Okay.
And then I cast myself again in this one, because like I acted in Moe in front of the camera. For the session, I was just voiceover, which is the other background that I have on voiceover. And then I put myself in the camera again, because I like more the oh my gosh, I forgot who said this, but the production style of like directors should get themselves in front of the camera as actors, and actors should get themselves as directors, because that's how you learn a little bit more. You want to ask yourself in the acting method, not like, oh, you got to do this and that because I want them to appear like that. You know, I like the more like the materials that Rose gave me, like, think of a time that may relate to this situation. So you get yourself in the headspace. And sure, method acting is great, but ultimately we're still selling a fantasy, a fiction. So put yourself thinking of those situations.
So what, you play the main role?
No, I'm just character number 3 in that movie. So.
Okay, so the main is the girl.
The main is the girl,
and you're one of the partners.
Yeah, I'm one of the partners.
And then what's the other partner, guy or girl?
Girl. It's Lindsay.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
But then we have some friends like as cameos and stuff like that as well. But it was the attempting to do a different style of movie, but also trying to do more location shooting, because I do like location shooting. So like the intro and the outro are both filmed like out there in LA by the beach side.
Oh, okay.
So we took we filmed everything else in one day at different houses, and then we hopped on the car the next morning. We're just like, we need to get there before sunsets.
Oh, wow, that's cool. So you shot some over here and some in LA, and that's already shot, and you're in post production right now.
Yes.
And with these films, is there any challenges that like rose up when you were filming or editing that came up? And you like, how did you overcome them?
Oh gosh, every movie has its own issue.
Yeah,
I guess sound design has always been. It's always so important. Get your sound design right, because even if the rest of the movie it may not be good, if you have a strong sound design, you can get people to the end. For Moe, the issue that we had in the bar was the freaking the cricket that was there. In Decision, we had 10,000 grasshoppers in the park scene.
Oh yeah.
So the day before we were scouting location, not a peep. The day that we get there, 10,000 grasshoppers. And I was like, I didn't order this many extras. So we managed to, I did all of the stuff, all the editing that I could, all my knowledge. But ultimately, production being a team sport, you got to bring in also professionals that are really good at that. So I got Rose's recommendation to use Monster Sound. So to help us on the remixing, and boy, did they save the movie, right?
Okay.
You saw the session, right? Did you hear any grasshoppers in it?
Not that I remember.
No, there was like
and
minimal.
were in the park too. Yeah.
So
Dang.
that's one of the biggest challenges. The
Did you have
sound.
a sound op and everything during the shoot, or how did you do the sound?
So we had, yeah. So it was, we're
Or did you have
skeleton crews.
labs?
We did two
Okay.
sound points. So we do lavaliers
And the
and boom
shotgun.
mic, yes.
Oh damn.
And then we
Okay.
had the scratch out on the camera boom as well. So, but that didn't save us from the grasshoppers.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's
And is that here Monster Sound?
hmm
Is
with
it
John
Vegas?
McClane. So yeah, based
Oh,
in Vegas. So I highly recommend if you're looking
pricey or not?
they were pretty affordable for us.
Okay.
I mean, for like the style of movie, because like these have costed me about $3,000 each.
Okay.
Well, decision more like 5 because there was the investment in the sound and then the colorist because we
Oh,
shot in
okay.
log. So
Okay. What did you shoot on?
FX3.
Okay. Nice. All right, man. That's dope. You said that they always ask you what's next. I'm gonna ask you what's next.
Oh, I'm split in 2 ideas.
Obviously, you're finishing Ocean Blue, right?
Yes,
So-
yes. And we're waiting for the first bite on the festival circuit as of the filming right now that we're doing. And I'm split between 2 ideas. And and I was in a different podcast with Yakov on this. And my split was trying to do a historical piece so I can have another piece that is to adding to the portfolio of shorts, or a spy short that I finished writing. So both have their challenges because the historical piece, as a historian, right, I want to tell a forgotten chapter of history. So here we have 2 soldiers of color, so a black soldier and a Mexican soldier, Americans to stay behind in France post World War I. So then they stuck to the French Foreign Legion.
Oh,
So
okay.
like I want the perspective is that they're now in the Rif War in 1925. Huge mess with the Spanish in Morocco, and then they call in the French for help. So like because of the racial tensions in the U.S. and everything, some soldiers stayed behind. Some of the black soldiers, some of the Latino soldiers, they stayed behind because they were getting better treatment in France than they were in the U.S. in about 100 years ago.
Oh wow.
And of course, it's not to excuse the French because the French, have their own
They're
issues
racist
as
too.
well. Right? Exactly. So it's this piece of like, okay, we're in a war period, and we know that there's worse things coming down the horizon, and that's the point of my 2 guys here, that we're still engaging in imperialism. We're still engaging in things that we thought were done for. And here we are in the middle of the desert when you got to worry about the Germans coming back.
Damn. So it would be a period piece.
It is a period piece.
Wow.
And wardrobe is the biggest issue aside from
Yeah, I'm
location.
just thinking in
So
my head right now, like wardrobe and location, like where you
those
gonna
are the
shoot
2
that.
biggest issues.
Yeah.
So
That's cool, man. All right, well, that's Guillermo. I'm gonna leave all his info below. You guys can check him out. Oh, and I really like, real quick, I like the stuff you're doing on Instagram. So you're doing like a lot of like tutorial videos about storytelling and stuff like that.
yes.
And you do them in Spanish and English. So talk about like why you started doing that and what is it?
So my brother Gabriel, he suggested to me you should get back into content creation, because we used to do like little YouTube unboxings and stuff like that back in, about a decade ago, and fell on the wayside because finishing school, getting into production, and getting into politics as well. So comes around with the film circuit, with the festivals. And my brother's pushing me again, and then I talked to Kelly Schwartz from the Indie Film Factory, and he's suggesting also the same thing, like maybe you should talk about your experiences as a Latino filmmaker as well. And that's when I was just like, you know what, let's just converge them. Let me start making videos of my journey as a filmmaker, but at the same time, those little tutorial aspects of like, well, here is what you should be considering if you want to do writing, because like again, the whole storytelling component and like the background in writing that I have is like, if you can get your story down right, then we could talk about production. So like right now we're swinging into the live production versus recorded, because it's like, here's the other stuff that I know a bit more about. And
Yeah, and you do it in English and Spanish.
yeah, it's a bit more exhausting than it looks, but it's exciting though.
That's
so,
cool, man. Yeah, keep doing them. You gotta keep creating content.
Of course.
All right, man. Thank you for coming. I'm gonna leave his info below and see you next time.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
All right, man. Peace.